barely see it. You probably can't see it too well. In fact, for right now, I'm going to turn it over to black so you can see what I'm doing. In a second, I'll bring it back to white. But for now, we'll leave it at black so you can see exactly what's going on. And bring that up to about, we'll say 36. It's got 36 point font. And bring it down just a little bit. Alright, great. Next thing we're going to do is add the content. And I'll show you a good website you can go to grab some content. But first, let's go ahead and add the area where we're going to do it. Say about right here. If you go to Google and just type in Lorem Ipsum text. Just type that into Google. Pretty much the second thing that's going to come down is called Lorem Ipsum blah blah blah. And all it is a website of nothing. It's just a bunch of junk. And what you can do is copy and paste a chunk of that into what we're making. So it looks like real text. It looks like someone put time and effort into putting real content. But in actuality, it is nothing. So we're going to go back over to our Photoshop. And before we even post it down, let's make it smaller. We can adjust it to be larger in a second. But we're going to move it down to about 9-point font. So we know it all fits in there. Alright, so you can see that's tiny. We're going to go ahead and delete just a little bit of this because it doesn't matter where it ends. Again, it's just nothing text basically. Random letters that look like words. Alright, so now let's make it a little bit larger for it to be viewable. Too big. 12. Yeah, that should be good. And we'll take the black and bring it down to regular. I'm actually going to control copy and just paste this one more time just to fill it out nicely. Excellent. Okay, so now we have our content. Here it is right here, the Lorem Ipsum text. We're just going to bring it below our header just so we can visually see where it is on here. Alright, so we have the header and the Lorem Ipsum directly below it. Next thing we're going to do is add the top part to be a different color. Again, adding a little bit of flair to it. So I'm going to left click, hold down my rectangle tool. I have my rectangle tool selected. And while with the Lorem Ipsum text selected, go to layer, new layer, and then left click on that. We'll call this the content 1 banner, which is basically going to be the background. So again, let's go over here to the color thing. Left click on that, and we're going to take the same color that's up here. Instead of typing in the numbers, now that we have some of that color on our project, you'll see the little eyedropper, and that just sucks up whatever color it is. So left click, and you'll see there's that 0070D7 down here in the color code. And we're going to go ahead and click OK. Great. So left click, hold it down, and right about there I'm going to make it. So now you can see what I showed you a little bit earlier. It's just a big header that's over top of the content one that we created. And we are going to actually bring it right below our Lorem Ipsum text and do a similar method that we did earlier. So hold down Alt, drag it until you see this symbol, and then click. So it only fills up this area right here. It only fills up. So basically content 1, that box that we created earlier, is the perimeter, or it keeps it contained within content 1. Okay, so content 1 banner, because we did the hold down Alt, you can always break that free again too, but because we did that Alt, it keeps content 1 banner contained within content 1. Alright, great. So now last thing we want to do for this is add just a little bit of design to it. We'll add a small drop shadow, and fine, we'll just leave it at that, whatever. Whenever you check, which is 5 pixels distance and size is 5 pixels, and I believe that's gonna be it. I don't think we want the you can add the bevel and emboss if you want. I don't personally like it, but go ahead and do whatever you want. And I'm gonna go ahead and click OK. So all I did was just add a simple drop shadow of 505. Click OK. So the next thing we want to do is go down to content 1 and hold down the control button and hit J. Now make sure that we go back down to content 1 and have that selected. We don't want to do anything to content 1 copy because you'll notice it's now attached or linked to the content 1 banner. We want to leave that as is. Content 1 is below it. Okay, so go ahead and click Content 1, hold down the Shift button and drag it across so that it's aligned right here with the nav bar. Next thing we want to do is go up here to Content 1 Copy, double click on that, and we're going to rename it really quick, just something simple. Let's type in Lorem, L-O-R-E-M. Alright, so we have the word Lorem. The reason I chose that word is it's the first word in our content, so that's how we're going to separate it. Great. Next thing we're going to do is go up here to our Content 1 banner, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to hold down the Control button and push J. So now we have another Content 1 banner copy. Simply left click that, hold it down, and put it below the Lorem content that we just created. Alright, so go up here to your select tool, make sure that's selected. Hold down Shift, and we're just going to bring it over so it's perfectly aligned. And we'll do the exact same thing that we just did on the first Content 1. Simply hold down the Alt button and go down to until you see this symbol pop up, which is right between Content 1 and the banner, and left click. Alright, great. For this Content 1, we're going to go ahead and call it Image. Now, for this section, later on, you'll be able to add things like sliders and videos and that kind of stuff, but to keep it simple, we're going to add a simple image, and I'll show you, if you don't have any of your own photography or images that you've created, where you can find that. Okay, so we have the image box here. Next thing we're going to do is hit Control T, and we're just going to make this a little bit smaller. So about there will work. So hit Control T, left click, bring it up, and hit Enter. So now we have this right here. Next thing we're going to do, on our right above our Content 1 banner, we're going to add the welcome. And we'll just keep that to black for now. Type in welcome. Alright, so we're going to change our text so it matches what we have over here in our header text layer. And for that layer, all you have to do is left click on header, and you'll see exactly the properties that you used, which is Arial, black, and 36-point font. So now I'm over here at my welcome. I'm going to hover until I see it, highlight it, go to 36, Arial, black. So now it's exactly the same as our header. We're going to try to position it exactly where we had our header. It's about right here. There we go. So now everything's all lined up. Excellent. And the next thing we're going to do is go back and edit our header, as I said we were going to do, to the letter or the color that we want. And we're going to do it by, instead of adding the paint bucket, we're going to go back into text, where you see the T, highlight the word, and then click on the black color that you see and scroll up to white, which again is just F6 Fs all the way across if you want to type it in. If you don't, you can just left click, hold it up, and drag until you see that. Click OK. And we're going to create a little bit of style for this. We're going to do another inner shadow, and we want it to be a little bit less than that, so double click on this, bring it down to about 2 for me. 2 and 3, that looks good enough. For the distance, have 2 pixels, size 3 pixels. You'll also notice it keeps the angle at 90 degrees because we're using the global light, which means the entire project is using the same angle of light, which makes sense if you think about light. I mean, it's going to hit everything at the same angle. So we're going to head and left click OK. Now down here for the welcome button, we're going to do a similar method, but we're going to use the same we want the exact same effects that we used for our header. So for welcome, go over to text button, make sure you have that selected, highlight the welcome, go to white,